I want to start this debate not in Geneva, but in Ternopil, a city in western Ukraine, closer to the Polish border than it is to Kyiv. In the early hours of one morning last week, a storm of Russian drones and missiles rained down. The sheer force of the attacks leading to an inferno erupting. In the burning wreckage laid injured victims and more than 30 dead, innocent men, women and children. Children like Amelka. Amelka, a 7-year-old girl from Poland who was in 2nd grade at the local school. Amelka died in her mother's arms, both of them killed in a mindless and callous act of brutality. On behalf of the Commission, and I'm sure all of us in this House today, I want to start by paying my respect and deepest condolences to all those mourning the victims of Ternopil and right across Ukraine. Over more than 3.5 years into this war of aggression, this is the daily reality on the ground. And it shows that we can never lose sight of what Ukraine is sacrificing, what Ukraine is fighting for: its security, its freedom, its independence. Because ultimately this is what is at stake in these crucial days for Ukraine and for Europe. Basically the core and the values of the UN Charter. And this is why Europe must keep up the pressure on Russia until there is a just and lasting peace. And I want to be clear from the very outset. Europe will stand with Ukraine and support Ukraine every step of the way. Honourable members, Russia's playbook has not changed. From the start, Russia has always believed that they can outlast Ukraine, Europe and all of its allies. And it is why every time there is serious progress towards negotiations that can bring about a real peace, the violence escalates. We have seen this before. This is a pattern. And the noises from the Kremlin in the last few days say a lot about its real intentions. For them, Ukraine remains a first step in a much bigger game. For Russia, any peace deal is about permanently redrawing maps. It is about returning to great power relations and spheres of influence. But for Ukraine and for Europe, any peace agreement is about creating a just and lasting peace, peace that stops this conflict and does not sow the seeds for new future conflicts. And it is about ensuring a strong and sustainable security architecture for our continent, one that is underpinned by a strong Europe, a strong NATO, a strong transatlantic partnership, and that is what we will defend alongside Ukraine and our allies every step of the way. Honourable members, a just and lasting peace, this is what we all want. And this is why Europe supports all efforts to build that peace for Ukraine, a peace that stops the killing, one that avoids setting a dangerous precedent, one that guarantees Ukraine's security and its sovereign rights in the long term, and that ensures a robust security architecture for Europe. This is why we welcome the efforts led by President Trump. After months of discussions, it is important that the work on an actual text started. Of course, we know that much more effort is needed. But I believe, thanks to the work of Ukraine, the United States and us Europeans over the last few days in Geneva, we now have a starting point. Our united front, our single voice, and our shared sense of purpose must continue to guide the work at European level. And I would like to outline some of the core principles for Europe as we work with Ukraine, the United States, and the coalition of the willing on the way forward. The first priority is that any agreement should deliver a just and lasting peace. And it should ensure real security for Ukraine and Europe. As a sovereign nation, there can be no limitations on Ukraine's armed forces that would leave the country vulnerable to future attacks. And this is as much about deterrence as it is about Europe's security, because Ukraine's security is Europe's security, so Ukraine needs robust, long-term and credible security guarantees as part of a wider package to dissuade and deter any future attacks from Russia. And it is equally clear that any peace agreement needs to ensure that European security is guaranteed for the long term. The second priority, upholding Ukraine's sovereignty. We know that Russia's mindset has not changed since the days of Yalta, seeing our continent in terms of spheres of influence. So we need to be clear that there cannot be unilateral carving up of a sovereign European nation, and that borders cannot be changed by force. If today we legitimize and formalize the undermining of borders, we open the doors for more wars tomorrow, and we cannot let this happen. Sovereignty also means being able to choose your own future. Ukraine has chosen a European destiny that has already led to partial integration in our single market and our defence industrial base, and this is only the start of a journey. Europe's future is bound to Ukraine's future, and therefore Ukraine's future lies in the European Union. This is not only a matter of destiny, this is a core and essential part of any security guarantee framework, and we will do everything we can to deliver on it together. The third priority, securing Ukraine's financial needs. In the absence of any real intent of Russia to engage in peace talks, it is clear that we need to support Ukraine to defend itself. And that starts by ensuring that they have the necessary financial means. In the last European Council, we committed ourselves to cover the financial needs of Ukraine for the years 2026 and 2027. On this topic, we, the Commission, have presented an options paper. This includes an option on immobilized Russian assets. The next step is now that the Commission is ready to present a legal text. And, honourable members, to be very clear, I cannot see any scenario in which the European taxpayers alone will pay the bill. This is also not acceptable. And another thing must also be clear, that any decision on this needs to be taken in line with the rules of the responsible jurisdiction and will respect European and international law. The fourth priority is, whatever the design of a future peace treaty, it is clear that much of the implementation will come down to the European Union and the NATO partners. Whether it's on security guarantees or on sanctions, financing of Ukraine's reconstruction, the integration in the single market or EU membership, one principle has been accepted. Nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, nothing about Europe without Europe, nothing about NATO without NATO. And the last priority I would like to focus on is one that cannot be forgotten, and that is the return of each and every Ukrainian child that has been abducted by Russia. There are tens of thousands of boys and girls whose fate is unknown, trapped in Russia by Russia. We will not forget them. There are thousands of mothers and fathers who have never stopped hoping, have never stopped fighting to bring back their children, and Europe will never give up in helping to make that happen. Honourable members, the days ahead are fraught with danger. First and foremost for the people of Ukraine, who continue to face the daily barrage of attacks. Yes, the situation is complex. Yes, the situation is volatile. Yes, the situation is dangerous. But I believe there's also an opportunity here to make real progress. So far, we have seen no signs from Russia of true willingness to end this conflict. So we have to keep up the pressure on Russia. But it is also our duty to engage with any and all efforts that can bring about a just and lasting peace. We know it will not be easy, but we have to find a way to move forward. We have to find a way to stop the killing, to help Ukraine rebuild and reconstruct, to return the children and reunite families. We have to find a way to provide lasting security for Ukraine and for our continent as a whole, and above all, honourable members, to forge a better future as a European future and for Ukraine. Long live Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commission President von der Leyen. And now, on behalf of the political groups, we start with the EPP, its Chair, Manfred Weber.
Madam President of the European Parliament, of the European Commission, and first of all, I want to thank you for changing your agenda and being today here with us. Commission President, Council,